And we are live. What's good, guys? It's your man Dale Saint. I'm just I was running around doing a lot of things, man, and I just took a look at my feed, and apparently there's been some sort of aircraft accident or incident at Louisville Airport or near the Louisville Airport. And as you guys know, when we do these, these live, you know, breaking news kind of things, I don't do any sound effects. I don't do any intros, outros, anything like that. So here's what we have so far. This is WLWT. This is coverage out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Uh, TV5 is Channel 5 when I was growing up. At least 3 deleted, 11 injured after UPS plane crashes near Louisville Airport. This is Louisville, Kentucky. A UPS plane exploded on the runway during takeoff at the Louisville Airport, leaving at least 3 people deleted and 11 others injured. The crash caused a massive fire with plumes of smoke seen for miles. 2 buildings were also impacted by the crash, which also caused injuries. 2 employees are believed to be missing at the scene, according to Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear during the briefing last Tuesday night, which is tonight. The MD-11 plane crashed around 5:15 p.m. That's local time during the takeoff at Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. 3 crew members were on board. UPS confirmed, and they show video. We're not going to show the video. Okay, so there's live coverage of this, and we're just going to switch screens here real quick. And there's just live coverage of this. We're going to follow this. This is WLKY. This is one of the affiliates, I assume, in Louisville, and they're talking about this. So that news report we just read, we're saying that the aircraft, there was some sort of mishap or something happened with the aircraft on takeoff, and it exploded or something like that. That doesn't sound right. That I've never seen this type of damage, this type of destruction from an aircraft that's on a runway trying to take off. I've never seen it. Even if the aircraft were to just explode, this damage right here. So remember, we read that article that was hours old. They're talking about what's going on. I would just looking at the devastation, I would just assume that an aircraft actually crashed. What's good, Mandrell? Good to see you, bro. I just seen this feed, man. You know, this is election night. A lot of people are talking about, the elections, that's going on. The New York City mayoral race. You got Virginia governor race, New Jersey governor race, and that Proposition 50 in California. Some stuff going on in Texas as well. But I saw this, and of course, it has something to do with aircraft. So I wanted to talk about it. So let's listen in and see what they're talking about here.
Of love. I just want to ask that we keep one another in our prayers and our thoughts, that we extend kindness at every opportunity, and that we really use this opportunity to look out for our neighbors and to take care of ourselves and one another.
Not quite sure who that was. The governor Beshear saying 3 fatalities, 11 injuries.
District 21, and the airport is in the heart of my district. And first, I would like to.
And it says 3 fatalities, 11 injuries, but they say the numbers are expected to grow. I'm just looking at the devastation here again. I believe that it's going to happen. 2 businesses hit by a plane crash, grade A. Okay, so it had something to do with some aircraft, more than one aircraft. And that initial report we read in the print media.
UPS was because this is a UPS town. My cousin's a UPS pilot. My aide's tennis partner is a UPS pilot. The intern in my office works overnight at UPS to pay for college. We all know somebody who works at UPS, and they're all texting.
My guess is there's an aircraft trying to land, and maybe something went wrong.
Sadly, some of those texts are probably going to go unanswered. My heart goes out to those families and those friends. And thank you.
If you're in the Kentucky area, Louisville area, please stay away from the airport.
We also have our FBI special agent in charge with us today. Are grateful for her participation. With that, I'll open it up to questions, but a couple of things. I'm not going to speculate about the cause. That's for the NTSB to determine, and do not want to interfere in that in any way. And the other thing I'd say is we'll get more information on the numbers of fatalities. We'll get more information on the number of injuries. Know that information is fluid. I would tell you, after the tornado in Mayfield, I was standing outside of a factory where I was sure 100 people were dead. And we ended up only losing 13, and that's a lot of people. But pray. It works. It helps. Let's pray that the number of Kentuckians or any other folks that we lost stays as low as possible. With that, if you have questions, I'll do my best. I don't believe, yeah.
So we do not know of anybody that are trapped, but the units on scene, as I said, we're trying to surround and contain that. As we move in, we are searching every building, every area. And like Director Myman mentioned, all the buildings that are outside of that immediate hazard zone are being searched as well to make sure that those are clear and safe.
We can't hear the questions, guys. So
If you see the live images that thankfully emergency management can get, you see these heroic firefighters moving from building to building to building as fast as they can, because if somebody's
I mean, that looks like some serious damage there. I would think that the aircraft was trying to land and had some sort of mishap on landing. They landed short. That would be my guess. And again, we can't hear the questions.
Yes. So right now, it's from the airport, basically from the airport right around the outer loop area, north. If you live in Jefferson County and you're in that, I know that's a circle that's on the screen up there behind you guys, but you know, we're thinking anybody north of that, we hope to be able to narrow that down as accurate plume modeling is taking place, and it should be done now. So we may be able to reduce that even more, that footprint even more here just in the next.
Sounds like they're talking about the restriction area. Just looking at this damage, there's no way an aircraft that's sitting on the runway can cause this kind of damage. This had to happen with someone in the air trying to land, or maybe someone who took off and had an issue after departure into the runway. I don't know which way they were departing or landing. So, but this kind of damage can, you know,
Notifications that are going out.
it's
over
not
there, make
someone
sure you're
sitting on the
paying
runway.
attention to those as well.
And there's a lot of numbers we're getting from the fire chief. I think he said 220,000 gallons. It's 220,000 pounds, which is about 38,000 gallons. So he remembered those numbers a lot better than I would without them written down. All right, anybody else? Yeah.
Again, we can't hear the questions
We've
being
not
asked.
done, because I've seen people make it out of things in these last 6 years that I didn't think were possible. We'll have more information soon. And we'll also want to make sure before we confirm any specifics that we deserve to hear that information first. Yeah, we'll get that information out, depending on how much news there is. We may be able to get it out on social media or release directly, but we'll work with our news partners, knowing that this is information that people want and need, and please direct any questions to us, but we don't.
So we're hoping to get some information on what exactly they think happened. CNN is not covering this. It's our local affiliates so far. I'm not seeing anything on Fox or CNN. So we're going to stay here. But I'm seeing debris on the runway. To me, it appears that an aircraft was trying to make an approach to the runway and landed short, hitting a factory area or commercial area, causing severe fire.
Only do it when it's safe. And this is a great airport that I've used a lot. I trust their leadership, and I'll look forward to hearing what they have to say. All right, thank you all very much. And again, tough day for Louisville, tough day for Kentucky, tough day for this region.
I'm going to turn this down just a little bit, guys. Just looking at these photos, this aerial shot, that's either an approach in or departure into the runway. I don't know what runway they're using. So if you got an airplane that's taking off or landing, like when I see stuff like this, either an aircraft took off, lost control, and maybe crashed. But looking at the debris, looking at the scars on these buildings right here, I'm thinking maybe an aircraft was making an approach to this runway
Support them with
and
every
didn't quite make it, landing short of the runway and causing a fire. Again, guys, I'm just speculating. I have no idea. So we're hopefully they give us an update on what's going on.
That crashed at around 5:15 this evening at the Louisville airport. And we do want to let you know that United Way is offering shelter to anyone impacted. You can call 502-376-6617, 376-6617.
3 dead, 11 injured, and some of those serious. So the governor said he expects the death toll to rise in this case. Great Lane took the brunt of the explosions afterwards. Kentucky Petroleum Recycling took that direct hit, and we're told that there were a lot of people in that facility. They were closing up, and that's people were in the office. That's when they collect their money. That facility takes oil and antifreeze and recycles it. Also, Grade 8 Auto Parts was also one of those structures that was hit directly. So our thoughts and prayers to all of the victims, their families, and we're still going to wait on word about the names of who died. But
And
just a horrible set of
Awful.
circumstances today.
And the airport is expected to give an update on their end as well at about 8:15. So in just a few minutes, hang here with us. The NTSB is in charge of this investigation now and will be on the scene, we're told, here very soon. The governor did point out no specifically hazardous cargo on that plane, but the impact and where this crash happened did cause and spark that shelter in place because there could still be explosions, as he mentioned. He also asked people to stay away from the area, do not go to the crash scene. Several emergency departments were dispatched.
So they don't seem to be talking about anything so far about this.
Oklahoma said first ones there to help out.
Yeah, they were there pretty quickly.
So-
and that was followed by Department
You
of
look at that
Defense.
damage to that building.
He mentioned the
If an airplane was sitting on a runway and exploded, you wouldn't have this kind of damage.
Did also
There's
mention
someone,
that there are other emergencies that
I'm
are
thinking there's an
not
aircraft that was
managed.
trying to land,
Big
or maybe an
news
aircraft that was
happening, and
taken
they
off.
called in other
I'm
officials
speaking
to
over
exactly
them
how they
because I don't want to miss if they give us an update on what
See that building right
they
there?
think it is. Here it is.
The UPS facility, and you can see that either the fuselage of the plane or a part of the plane just carved right through that building. That is a UPS building, and then farther on you can see off Grade Lane. That is the Kentucky Petroleum and Recycling. That was the first initial blaze, and just by the name, petroleum in there with all the flammables
Right.
that they have, that caused some of those additional explosions, plus all of the fuel that was on board that plane.
Yeah, he did mention the 3 fatalities. 3 people are confirmed dead, 11 injuries, but they did also mention that the governor did expect those numbers to grow as the night continues. They're still in that initial phase of fighting the fire and assessing the scene and going door to door to make sure people are okay and going through buildings that have been impacted and cars that have been impacted to
Exactly.
make sure there are not people in some of those buildings and cars. They're still working to confirm that some of the businesses that were hit, that people are okay, customers are okay, which it's kind of a chaotic time right for everybody.
Yeah. Let's go to our Norman Seawright, who is in on scene. Norman, what can you shed for us on this?
Well, Rick, we are waiting just shortly. We'll be starting to hear from officials here at the Louisville Regional Airport Authority just about where this investigation is starting, where it's going. A lot of questions we still need to have answered, but of course, all of everyone's thoughts right now are with everyone who has been affected by this tragic crash today. You think about an airline, you think about an industry like this, aviation, they very much talk about the souls on board. So when you talk about crew members, you may talk about souls. And this is something that really they internalize.
Okay, I think right now they're just taking up air right now, just talking about souls on board. You know, so far the report there have been some fatalities, at least 3, 11 injuries reported. The Governor Andy Beshear, he's cautioned that he anticipates that number to go up. You guys saw the damage there, a lot of damage there.
That's still in effect. Initially, it was 5 miles.
And they're talking about basically a clearance zone around that so the emergency personnel can get in there and do what they have to do. This is crazy. And you're right about that, bro. This is unfortunate timing for Duffy and, you know, what's going on with the shutdown. You know, I know, you know, we're speculating, guys. I'm simply speculating. I have no idea what happened here. We read a news report that said an aircraft was sitting on a runway and just exploded. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't fit the scene that we're seeing there. All that damage. It looks to me that there was some sort of mishap uh, just off the departure end or arrival end. So it's either just beyond the departure end of the runway, or if you're landing the other way, then it would be just short of landing at the runway. But it looks like there was some sort of mishap with the aircraft.
Chunk of real estate for the downtown area of
So they're talking about the shelter in
Again, we
place, or and if you guys are in Louisville, please shelter in place. Listen to what law enforcement and the government is telling you, so the first responders could get there and do what they have to do, save lives, save property. But looking at that damage, to me, I would say that we're looking at a situation where an aircraft had just taken off and had some sort of problem and went in off the departure on the runway, or if they were trying to land, the aircraft did not make it to the runway, landed short of the runway, and crashed into the buildings just off the departure end of that particular runway. Now, there's tons of scenarios, guys. You can have an airplane take off. I've dealt with this, many times in my career. An aircraft would take off and immediately declare an emergency. Now, when airplanes are in what they call like changing their configuration, either taking off or landing, right? That's considered critical phase of flight, especially when you're just taking off. If something goes wrong, you have to make up your mind right away, and the crew has to decide what they're going to do. And a lot of times what pilots do is they'll climb as high as they can. They'll bring the airplane back around. They just kind of make a quick little racetrack loop and just land on the runway they just took off on. And most of the time, no problem. They get around, they get there, but sometimes they land short and they don't quite make the runway.
Extended Mike Moore over in Jeffersonville also put a shelter in place. TARC is not working.
Right, so they're still talking about the shelter in place order. So to me, that looks like the aircraft, there was an aircraft in the air and it came down. Now, I don't know if it was taking off or landing. Again, we haven't heard any of fuel. And yeah, it was a MD-11. That's a big airplane, and loaded up. We don't know what they were carrying. We don't know how heavy the stuff was in the back of the plane. And if it was going to Hawaii, bro, it was definitely, it had on max fuel. If it was going to Hawaii, taking off from Louisville, taking off from Kentucky and going to Hawaii, you had max fuel on that aircraft. So if it did take off and have some sort of catastrophic event and the crew was trying to make it back to the runway to land and landed short, I can definitely see something like this happening. Let's listen in.
This area, don't worry, it'll come back on. This is just a working scene. They're still in the initial assessment phase of this, and they're working to make sure that people are still not needing rescue. They're still unsure. It's the beginning of all of this.
Well, I keep going back to the Givaudan explosion. They did not know that there was the fatality in that situation. There could have been people, like you said, in their cars, in those businesses, leaving those businesses. Also, LMPD on Taylor Boulevard at the training academy has set up a victim reunification. So if one of your loved ones was one of those injured, they have a reunification area set up at the LMPD training facility.
Yeah, we were expecting a update from the airport around 8:15. That has since been moved to 9 o'clock as officials are working to gather more information. This video that you're seeing now was the scene shortly after it happened. This was a very massive scene there. And one of the officials that spoke at the 7:30 press conference described it, I think, in a perfect manner. She said it was a sad and heavy occasion, and this is going to be something that affects a lot of Louisville. UPS is a huge employer here in Louisville. We call ourselves a UPS town, and everybody knows somebody who has either worked at Louisville or does work at UPS or has worked at UPS. Okay. It's a huge employer.
Yes, and once again, if we can see that video, if you have that queued up of the plane coming, attempting to take off, coming down the runway. Apparently, it was making enough noise that it alerted one of the workers that was on the side there and got the phone and recorded as the plane was barreling, here it is, barreling down the runway with one of those engines on fire. I was told that one of the engines actually did fall off, and then shortly after,
right there,
the explosion.
Okay.
And that set off those massive fires that stretches. I might even be sure.
Okay. That makes sense. Like I said, it was either aircraft taking off or trying to land. Looks like the aircraft was trying to take off. Some sort of catastrophic event occurred. Looks like they left their left engine looks to be engulfed in flames. They couldn't lift. They couldn't do any lifters. At that point, there's probably nothing they could do. They couldn't climb. They're probably maxing out the other engine. They just couldn't get off the ground. It looks like, and unfortunately, they impacted into the buildings they're off the departure in. And that makes sense. The article we read where it said the aircraft was just on a runway and exploded, that just didn't make any sense at all. But as we can see with that video, looks like this UPS MD-11 is heavy, was departing the runway, was trying to depart, was probably clear for takeoff. A lot of people are going to be asking, what's this have to do with the air traffic control shortage? Nothing. From what I just saw there's nothing you can do as an air traffic controller. That is the worst part of the job. Sometimes, most times, you're just there and you can't do anything. You're just watching and listening. And, you're listening to the radio transmissions. Sometimes the pilots are talking to you as they're about to lose their lives, basically. They're just, you can hear what they're saying. Sometimes they're asking you to do things for them. Tell my wife I love them, tell my kids I love them. Sometimes you get that. Sometimes you're just screaming. Sometimes it's just dead air. You clear an aircraft for takeoff. You watch the aircraft rotate. And what we mean by rotate, that front wheel comes up. They're about to get into the air. And if you see an engine on fire, as an air traffic controller, what you do is right away, you hit the alarm buttons. You pull up the crash phone. You start letting everybody know in the tower, hey, we got an issue. And then when you watch the big explosion, your heart just drops, but you still have work to do. You have to coordinate. You have other airplanes trying to take off, trying to land. There's a lot going on. A lot of decisions need to be made, and all those decisions need to be made within minutes. So this is just one of those horrible things that kind of comes with the job, to have to sit there and watch that. So it looks like the aircraft was trying to depart. Don't know what runway that was, Louisville Airport. It looked like one of the engines, looked like the left engine, caught fire. It appeared that way. And that aircraft was unable to take off, was unable to gain the lift it needed to get in the air. And it impacted in the buildings just off the departure end. Unfortunately, that is a commercial area, and there's a lot of factories there that have a lot of looks like a lot of chemicals for whatever they're doing. And then of course that aircraft was full of fuel, and jet fuel is extremely high explosive, bro. Extremely flammable. So I mean, it is what it is. Would a controller need to get help for just being on shift at SDF when it happened? If you witnessed it, yes. I mean, and the government, our union, the FAA, they provide assistance. And there are going to be some people whenever, I work with controllers who've dealt with this sort of thing. I always suggest that they take advantage of those services, man. Go talk to someone, go talk to a pro, go get your hair right, man. And so many controllers are like, nah, I'm good. We're tough. We're A types. I'm good. This is nothing. No, it is something, bro. And then a lot of controllers have, relationships with these pilots. I mean, you talk to these pilots all the time. You get to know their voices. You meet them sometimes at events. You know them. And to see something like that, it could be someone on that aircraft. It could be a family member. It could be a close friend on that aircraft, right? It could be a controller on that aircraft. We have programs where we can fly with these air carriers. So you just don't know, bro. And this sort of thing just really gets you, man. Chief, it really gets you, dude. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. But let's listen in on some more of this.
Airport to get a further update on. They'll give us the nuts and the bolts on the technicalities of initially what they know of what went wrong with the engine on takeoff and what went wrong with that aircraft, which was a MD-11, McDonnell Douglas MD-11 airplane.
And the UPS did release a statement just a short time ago, just to kind of reiterate what happened at approximately 5:20 tonight. A UPS flight 2976 from Louisville, we now know, was headed to Honolulu, Hawaii. You mentioned an MD-11 with 3 crew members on board involved in the accident in Louisville. They have not confirmed any injuries or casualties at this time, but the governor did confirm that 3 people have passed away in this crash. We're still waiting to confirm any other injuries or fatalities, which the governor did expect those numbers to grow.
And kudos to the Okolona Fire Department. They were close by. They were first on scene. Fairdale's just a little south of that as well. All hands on deck helping Louisville firefighters.
Yeah, so the firefighters, I'm certain that they have every available piece of equipment out there on the scene trying to get those fires under control of those factories. And you look, we're looking at debris on the runway. Um, that that debris could have fallen off the aircraft while it was rolling down the runway. We won't know until they recover the black box from the aircraft as to what position or um, what configuration the aircraft was in. We don't know if the crew was trying to just stay on the ground and hit the brakes and turn on reverse thrusters and just try to stop, or were they in fact trying to get in the air on one engine? Like, well, let's just get in the air, let's get some altitude, get a little altitude here, and then we'll just limp back around and we'll land. We don't know. We won't know until the NTSB does their thing. But just looking at that debris on the ground, and that's just not normal. Looks like that debris was, towards the departure in. So, were they able to get airborne? I don't see any brake marks there on the runway or overrun. They were able to get some altitude, but not enough to clear this building. And you probably have like the aircraft impact this building here, and then parts of the aircraft continue on and impact parts of the factories and all that sort of stuff, sparking more fires. And it's just thoughts and prayers, guys. Not only for those who lost their lives in this horrific incident, this accident, really, but for the firefighters and the workers and those people who are struggling to survive right now on the ground. Like, look at all the fire equipment. Like, look at what's going on here. This is a major. Of course, this fish came in hours ago. It's dark now. I'm not quite sure, if the fires are, quote unquote, under control. They have no idea as far as casualties at this point. They're just, working this accident and taking care of business is what they do. You know what I mean? So shout out to the fire department. Shout out to the first responders. And those air traffic controllers, Louisville probably already short air traffic controllers. They're going to be short at least, 2, maybe 3 more controllers. Whoever witnessed this, they're not coming to work tomorrow. I guarantee you that. They're not going to come to work for a few weeks. I wouldn't. This is something horrific. We saw the video of the aircraft going in.
Give you a gauge,
third of a mile.
just how big this response was. They said they had every single emergency response department on scene: Louisville, Lexington, Fern Creek, PRP, Fairdale, J-Town, Airport, Fire and Police, LMPD, the Sheriff, Shively, EMS, MSD, LG&E. I'm sure I'm missing some, but this was kind of a statewide response here for this massive event.
It's going to make you feel good that they were all of us come together, and what a year. I mean, you had the tornadoes and they had the flooding. I mean, those were natural disasters, and then Governor Beshear's dealing with another tragedy, and we hope to hear from Mayor Greenberg. He was pumping 100 miles a minute.
I said he'll be back around 9.
It'd be back at
Tonight,
9. We'll hear
around
from
9
him,
o'clock.
get an update from him on the situation. We're still waiting from the airport to hear from them.
And also United Way offering shelter to anyone impacted by what's happened here. You can call 502-376-6617. TARC services suspended indefinitely. We'll let you know when that's back up and running. And the shelter in place still in place. Everything north of the airport there. And Jeffersonville.
Yeah, so 9 o'clock is the scheduled briefing. They're going to give a second briefing to kind of get some more details. They were scheduled for, I think it was an 8:15 briefing, and that got pushed back, which is understandable. Look at that fire. I mean, it's like all hands are on deck for this thing. They brought out, like they said, it's pretty much a statewide response. Everyone is coming to help, and they're going to need it. They're going to need that help. I mean, all these fire personnel and all their equipment are coming to take care of this issue, but you still have residential stuff, like something else might happen. So you still need to have first responders, firemen available for the normal course of duty, like the other things that may happen. You know, your paramedics got to go, and there's going to be car accidents. You have to have people go do that. And, you know, there's going to be small fires and other structural fires. You got people got to go do that. So, you know, shout out to them. But, you know, getting back to the government shutdown, does this have anything to do with the government shutdown? I would say no. Um, it looks to me that the aircraft, the UPS MD-11, was trying to depart. It looks like their left engine burst into flames. You could see that clearly from the video. Again, this is all what was seen in this video. None of this is official. This is just me reacting to what I saw on this news broadcast. And the aircraft appeared to impact the buildings just off the departure of the runway. I do believe the aircraft was able to get airborne, but could not clear the buildings. And a lot of people are like, well, how can all that other stuff happen? Like, well, once the aircraft impacts, sometimes the engines and the wings and all that stuff comes off, and the fuel is in the wings. You have the engines take off. One of the engines are already on fire. We don't know if the second engine was operating properly. This is going to be a maintenance thing. The NTSB is really going to dig into the maintenance logs and find out, you know, what type of maintenance was performed. Was it performed properly? Did they keep up with all the other kind of stuff? Here in the next few days, you might even see a ground stop or some sort of factory recall on all those MD-11s that are out there. They might do that. Every MD-11 made that a year, a couple of years. They might just, in an overabundance of caution, say, hey, let's ground all these airplanes just to make sure that we're not going to have another issue like this at another airport. So don't be surprised if you see that, guys.
p.m. Eastern Time tonight, UPS Flight 2976 from Louisville, Kentucky to Honolulu, Hawaii, an MD-11 with 3 crew members on board was involved in a catastrophic crash here in Louisville adjacent to our airport. UPS will be releasing more facts as available. The National Transportation Safety Board will be in charge of the investigation and will be on the scene shortly. They will be the primary source of the investigation as it continues in the days and in the weeks ahead. I can confirm that there was no specifically hazardous cargo on board of the plane that would create an environmental issue for those around the site, but the impact and where it impacted could create those types of situations. So please, if there is a shelter in place, follow it.
Now that was from earlier,
Governor
guys.
Beshear, and we're waiting for for the mayor,
Airport
Greenberg,
officials.
to come back out here and the officials from the airport to give us an update on this. So let's reset and tell you, in case you're just joining us. At 5:14 today, that plane, that UPS plane, flight 2976, was attempting to take off headed to Honolulu.
Yeah, that's about an 8-hour and 38-minute flight for that plane. It was full of fuel. Something happened. You can see it right here in this video from a ground crew member who shot this video. You can see the initial crash right here, an explosion. Something happened as this plane was taking off and caused it to crash. And it also crashed into 2 buildings, according to the governor. That was UPS flight 2976 that crashed around 5:15 today. That's a McDonnell Douglas MD-11, again, headed to Honolulu. UPS confirmed there were 3 crew members on board, but we have not been able to confirm the status of those crew members. However, the governor did confirm there are 3 fatalities and 11 injuries, some of those severe injuries, and are being treated at University Hospital.
Well, we talked about the fuel. It had close to 40,000 gallons of fuel on board, plus it hit that petroleum recycling center. And that set off the massive explosions. And Grade A Auto Parts was another facility that was hit. Here's a map of the businesses. Okay, so there's Grade A in the bottom, petroleum, and then the west runway. Part of the, you saw part of the, one of the, I guess we'd call it a hangar at UPS Worldport. It had a lot of damage to it, like the fuselage must have slammed into that building or a wing or something. But that's Grade Lane is where all of this damage is done, spread out there. The plane was headed south on the runway, so it was headed.
And we're gonna get back to that. We're gonna rejoin them. I want to show you guys, in case you don't know, here's what an MD-11 looks like. This is one of the workhorses, and not just the UPS fleet, but the FedEx fleet as well. Right, big airplane, 3 engines, one on each wing, and then you have one on the vertical stabilizer on the back. So here you, and there's one right there on the right of your screen there in the UPS colors, the brown and white. That's what we're looking at. It was an aircraft that looked like that. That's the type of aircraft that that had this incident. This is when you hear air traffic controllers talking to an airplane like this. We'll use the term heavy. So it's whatever the call sign is, UPS 2311 heavy. Same thing with FedEx 365 heavy. You might hear that with British Airways, Speedbird, because they fly 747s. So in the heavy is just an indicator that it's over a certain amount of pounds. Air traffic controllers need that because of wake turbulence issues and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what that is, man. Terrible, terrible situation. In that business, these things do happen, but it's very rare. I mean, this is not something you see every day. This is not something you see once a year, even. I mean, these kind of incidents, these accidents are rare.
Madison, what can you tell us about families who are there?
Hey, Rick and Jennifer. So we've seen some people coming in and out of the building. This is where LMPD is asking people to come. They are asking people to not go to local hospitals seeking your loved ones. That's because they say hospitals are not equipped to handle family reunification during this type of emergencies. And they're asking families to please report here, the training facility. We're at 2911 Taylor Boulevard. This is also the South Louisville Government Center here as well. And we've seen some people coming in and out. We haven't seen a lot of people just yet as we've been waiting outside the center. We are not allowed inside, so we are staying outside, hoping to get more information, but we...
Yeah, I mean, at that time of evening when this thing occurred, I would not be surprised if the injuries be somewhere between like 40, 50, 60, maybe 100 injuries. Because I'm thinking shift changes and stuff like that. This is 5 o'clock, so you have like the second shift leaving, maybe the night shift coming in. There are people getting in their cars, coming and going, meeting up, whatever. Hey, what's going on? A lot going on out there. I'm pretty sure those facilities, those factories had like security and all kind of services going on, all kind of people there. And then all of a sudden, bam, you have this accident and you have this horrible situation where fires are just, springing up all over the place. So that's pretty much all we have. We'll definitely be following this up, guys. We're definitely going to follow this up. They're showing the same footage from earlier. Like I said, there's debris on the runway. The NTSB is on the way. They'll get there. They'll conduct their investigation. They'll find out what happened. They'll get to the bottom of this. There's going to be the transmissions with the air traffic controller and that UPS flight that's out there on the internet. I'm pretty sure like platforms like Voss Aviation will have that up as well. That's out there. People are going to be getting that. And then you can see the damage that was caused by that airplane crash. Lots of fire. You see how it's like in a straight line. And that's just the debris coming off that aircraft, the engines, possibly the wing, and all the fuel. And then who knows what it was igniting as it impacted those factories that are just off the departure end of the runway there. So we're going to continue to follow this story. Again, thoughts and prayers to all those affected. The air traffic controllers at Louisville, whoever was working, they're not going to come to work for a few weeks. I can guarantee you that. I know I wouldn't. This is just my speculation on that. Definitely, shout out to all the first responders, all the fire departments from all over Kentucky that came in response to this fire. And we just got to sit back and wait and see what happens. Kind of just watch this. I'll definitely follow up on this tomorrow for sure. They're going to have about 30 minutes or so. They're going to have another update and they're going to, have another report. they'll probably have more information as to what happened. So tomorrow for sure, I'll rejoin this story. We'll have more information. Again, that article we read at the very beginning, that was probably one of the very early articles that went out there. So, don't be mad at them for putting out misinformation. They gave us what they had. But like I said, after reading that article, it was like, nah, there's no way an airplane just blew up on the runway and caused this kind of damage. And then of course the video came out. Someone did capture on their phone video. There's a video out there of the aircraft trying to take off, where it appeared that the left engine was engulfed in flames. It appeared to me that the aircraft was in the air and trying to climb. It appears to me that the nose was up. They were trying to climb, and it appears again that they just couldn't get enough altitude to clear the building that they impacted and caused, it started these fires here. We can only hope and pray that the number of those who were injured and who did not survive this are very low. We hope that's the case. So that's pretty much all I got for now, guys. Thanks for, jumping on here. Appreciate all the questions. And, this is what we do. Anything aviation related, I'm going to talk about it. And again, we're not going to do any intros, no outros, no sound effects. This is way too serious. So this is just breaking news in Louisville. There's been a crash of a McDonnell Douglas MD-11 and fires around the impact area, just off the airport, off the departure end of the appears to be the active runway in Louisville. They are reporting three fatalities and 11 injuries, but that number is expected to get larger. So, yeah, we'll cover this at a later date, man. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for rocking out with me. And yeah, we're gonna follow this definitely when we get the ATC transmissions. We're gonna play that, talk about what we're hearing. If the transmissions come out, and if the transmissions are just people yelling and all that kind of stuff, like the real bad stuff, then I won't play that. But if it's just normal transmissions, we'll see. We'll listen to it. We'll see what it sounds like, and then we'll go from there. We'll make a determination. So, my prayers and all my thoughts, my prayers and all my sympathy goes to the people of Louisville. And again, I can't say enough about the first responders there in Louisville. Those guys are really heroes. Those men and women are superheroes. They go rushing in where others are running away, and they're going in there to save lives and to save property. And wow. That's all I can say about them. They say that we're good, and they said I was tough because I was a paratrooper, and being an air traffic controller, like we're special. But man, nothing in my opinion, nothing comes close to what first responders do, and that includes police, the police too, bro. I know I'm hard on cops, but they're first responders as well, man. There's a lot of police officers down there keeping things safe, routing traffic around, doing what they got to do. But shout out to the first responders, shout out to EMT, shout out to the firefighters, and everyone down there who are, dealing with this horrific accident. So that's all I got to say, guys. I got to go. I'll definitely be back tomorrow with a follow-up on this, and appreciate it, man. Take care, man. Tell your family you love them. Kiss your kids, man. Kiss your kids goodnight, man. Tell your significant other you love them. Tomorrow is not promised, all right? I'm DL Same. I'm going to talk to y'all later. Take care.